So now that we know how to track our project through source control and we have a little bit of an idea on how to interact with Node, let's jump into building the backend for our application. So we're building a daily tasks kind of app in which we're going to have a calendar, and in that calendar we're going to have tasks that we can assign, I suppose, a priority to, and each of these tasks in the calendar will be owned by a certain person. So we have an ability to register a user, we have an ability now to log in, obviously, and we must have the ability to create new tasks and maybe also mark them as completed or give them perhaps some sort of urgency or priority list. So let's start by creating the backend project. We're going to do this by jumping here, going back into our JS course application, using clear to clear the console, and now we're going to start our Strapi app. We're going to go, and to do that we're going to use npx, which is the node package executor, or executable I suppose, for the node package manager, and we're going to type npx create -strapi -app, and then we're going to give it a name, which is going to be backend for now. Boom. It's going to go, okay, you're running node 19, so this should be fine. And we skip the login because we don't want to use Strapi Enterprise. We're gonna use the default database, which is SQLite. We could use MySQL, we could use Postgre, but SQLite is fine because it's fast and it's just going to be a file in our file system that we can just copy and back up and transfer to our servers, and it's convenient. We are not going to be using the example structure and data. We are not going to be using TypeScript, so we type N here. We are going to be using npm, and we don't want to initialize a Git repository because we already have one. Now the Strapi application is getting created. At the end of this process, a new web page is going to open and we're going to configure Strapi from there. Okay, Strapi has completed this installation. So we're now just going to cd into the backend folder and type npm run develop. This is going to start Strapi in developer mode, and it's going to allow us to create new schemas or content types. Alrighty, now that we're here, just going to do our thingy. I'm just going to go with as that mail.com, this, yeah. Oh, fuck it, alright. One number, okay. Jesus. Right, so let's start. Do not save this, and here we are. So that's our CMS, our content management system, up and running. Now we can already interact with it. The backend is running, and it's running at localhost 1337, and it's here. Like, we have it. Now if we go into localhost 1337/admin, we can see that that's the backend. Now the first thing we want to do maybe is check the structure of a Strapi project, right? So let's do that. First of all, we have our content manager, which is where our content lives. This is a view for the database tables that we're going to have. For example, here we can create a new user, and it's going to have a username, an email, a password, whether or not it's confirmed, whether or not it's blocked, and the role between authenticated and public. That's all fantastic. Then we have our media library, which is where our uploads are going to go if we have them, which we're not going to have uploads in this particular project. Then a content type builder, which is where we're going to spend some time to build our content. Deploy, which is the cloud Strapi thingy that we're not going to use. The marketplace, where you can build, we can download extensions for Strapi. Some of these are good, some of these are not. It doesn't really matter. We're not going to use them now. And finally, settings, which is incredibly important. Here is when we're going to go and set up our role, our ACL, so it's our access role regulations and rules. So for example, here, the public user, if we go back into user permissions, the public user can have an email confirmation, go start the forgot password flow, and it's giving you here what the route is for that, register and all that jazz. But for example, an authenticated user cannot register, can only change password. And as we are gonna go and define our content types, we're also gonna define who can access those content types. If we want to have additional roles, we can add them here. Here, roles, authenticated or public, or we can add a new role. This is fantastic as an introduction to Strapi, so I am gonna stop this here, and then we're just gonna take the next step, which is we're gonna create our content type.